Oh, no. I just think they're pretty cool. What do you think?
Almost got me.
How did the star of the 90s classic Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, bring a poverty-ass franchise to the Super Bowl in only his second year? This is the story of the NFL's most beautiful quarterback, Joe Burrow. Born in Iowa, Joe was raised with some of that Midwest swagger that would help him bring his high school team to the playoffs 3 years in a row, winning the team's first 7 playoff wins in school history. He moved to Ohio, which, while unfortunate, still means he was exposed to the glamour of the Big Apple, Columbus, Ohio. After being named Mr. Football and Gatorade Player of the Year, 2 made-up awards from Ohio, Joe committed to Ohio State, wrapping up his high school career with 11,416 yards and 157 passing touchdowns. Somehow ran for 27 as well. After redshirting his first year, Joe was a backup for both 2016 and 2017 in Ohio. In that 2017, Joe ended up losing the starting job to Dwayne Haskins. Rest in peace. But, like DJ Khaled said,
in life you have roadblocks.
Joe then decided he was going to bring some of that Midwest gumption to Baton Rouge. While he played well for 2018, a key moment in his early career was the 7 OT loss to Texas A&M, because he went out and threw a very important pass in his development. Following his shit getting rocked after tossing up a meatball, Joe Burrow was faced with a very tough decision. Give in to the pressure and stay down, or get up and ball out. Joe learned in that very moment that if the weight is bearable, one must bear it, leading the Tigers to a comeback win over the UFC Knights in the Fiesta Bowl. Joe finished his season with 2,894 yards and a 16-5 touchdown to interception ratio. His next season would be one for the books. Joe led his Tigers to a 15-0 record where he won the national championship following the best season of a college quarterback and winning the Heisman. Joe threw for 5,671 yards and 60 touchdowns to only 6 picks, none of which came in the postseason. A notable moment of this season is when Joe threw for 5 touchdown passes, had a drop touchdown pass, and took a knee on the 5 to win the game against the best defense in the nation. It was here that he was adorned with his nickname, Joe Burrow, for having his veins surgically removed and replaced with straight ice. After serving up that Midwest special hot and ready for the whole country, Joe was ready to go pro and declared for the NFL draft. After very little deliberation, Joe Burrow was selected with the first overall pick and was headed to the windy city of Cincinnati, Ohio. Joe was the only quarterback from that draft to start week 1 and was the frontrunner to win Offensive Player of the Year at the start of the year. But after an up-and-down rookie year cut short from injury, it was clear that there was some work to be done in Cincinnati. Leading up to the draft, every analysis assumed the Bengals would draft a lineman to help Joe stay off the turf. But what they did shocked the league. With the 5th pick of the 2021 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Jamar Chase, an electric receiving talent in his own right and a former teammate of Joe's at LSU. This pick was scrutinized for months until they saw Joe and Chase on the field together. With his next favorite offensive weapon, Joe led the Bengals to a 10-6 campaign, throwing for 4,611 yards and 34 touchdowns, leading the league in yards per attempt. This earned his team a playoff berth. Skeptics were quick to point out that Joe was also leading the league in sacks and yards lost to sacks that year, and wrote off the Bengals as a first-round exit. Joe proved all the haters wrong as he put on a show in the playoff and capped it off with a win over the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC title game, where Joe showed him why he was selected first overall and led the Bengals to their first Super Bowl since 1988. All after trailing to the Chiefs 21-3, only to come back and win 27-24 in overtime. The stage was set. It was the 2021-2022 season Super Bowl. Los Angeles, California, SoFi Stadium. Cincinnati Bengals versus the Los Angeles Rams. Joe Burrow versus Matthew Stafford. After a hard-fought game, Joe had the ball late in the 4th with a chance to drive down the field and score. Cue the tape.
Burrow trying to keep it going, gets spun down, gets it away, and incomplete. It looked like P-Ryan might have had a shot.
That decision to pass up on an offensive lineman in lieu of an elite receiver is what ultimately got them to the big game. But it was a decision that came back to bite them when it mattered most. Joe walked off the field as blue and yellow fell from the sky, and the Rams were crowned world champions. I wish I could say it was just a hiccup that the Bengals sustained in their ascent in the following seasons, but after losing a close game in the AFC Championship in 2022 to Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, the Bengals have had a slow year. Joe was banged up during training camp after suffering a calf strain, but decided to play through injury. This injury was enough to slow blood down enough that his Bengals were by no means the team of years past, and after Joe suffered a wrist injury in Week 11, his season came to an early end. On one hand, Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals look like a promising squad with a lot of upside, but some haters say that the Super Bowl window may be coming to a close. However, during a press conference, Joe had this to say on the matter.
Window's my whole career, and everybody that we have in that locker room, all the coaches we have. Things are going to change year to year, but our window's always open.
Going deep, Jamar Chase. He's got it. Chase. That's a Bengal touchdown.
Watch Joe Mixon hop out of pass pro right there. Boom. Just get a piece of the edge.
Burrow looking deep for Chase, and Chase makes the adjustment.